Why does Etsy give us terrible SEO advice? Lately, I've had a lot of people asking me why. Why is that listing ranking? Why is that shop doing so well with terrible tags? Why is that a top seller with only one photograph? Why does Etsy give us all this advice that just doesn't seem to work? So I thought I would go on a journey to dig deep into all of this and deconstruct the secrets to what Etsy is really telling us here. The secrets to Etsy SEO. This is likely to be a fairly long video, so check the chapters at the bottom to skip to a section that you might be more interested in, or to jump back if you want to check out something again. Let's get started. First, let's dive into the history of SEO on Etsy. I started in 2008. Etsy had been around for a couple of years, but it was really pretty new when I joined in. SEO was pretty much the newest listing showed up in search. People renewed listings constantly. And this meant this was really not a good buyer experience. When someone searched for something, just so long as that item had the words somewhere in the title and tags and possibly the description, then whatever item was the created or relisted the most recently, that's what would show up at the top of search, no matter if it was relevant at all to what the buyer wanted. And also you would have chunks of multiples from the same shop because people would relist all of their listings in one go. So the entire front page would be dominated by their listings for a short while. And this meant there wasn't so much variation. Sure, that one seller got seen quite a bit, it had a good chance, but from the buyer point of view, that meant if you didn't like that one style, you weren't getting shown something decent. So it was a bad customer experience, so people weren't using search all that much. In fact, most people found things to buy from teams, from chat, from the front page, or from treasuries on Etsy. For buyers, search sucked. Etsy was more a community of artists selling to artists, and that was lovely, but it was also limited in the amount of buyers we were going to get. Then in 2010, things changed. Overnight for some of us, or it certainly felt like it. What used to work stopped working. Dead. Shops were doing well, suddenly no sales at all. For many of us, the lights just went off. We were artists, we didn't know that much about SEO. In fact, let's have a look back at some of my earliest sales. Request for commissioned felted animal, no tags. Needle felted kitten, and my tags were pet supplies, cat, figurine, sculpture, ornament and fibre. Yeah, that's pretty awful. Sale, Jack Russell needle felted dog in a play bow. And check out those terrible tags. Many of them were team names because that's how we got found, with people from our teams searching for us. But now search just didn't work anymore. It had been bad in the past, but now crickets. And people were still spending a fortune on relisting and relisting because that's human nature. What worked before, when it stops working, we keep on doing it some more. Have you ever used a vending machine where you put your money in, you press the button, and sweeties come out, goodies come out? If it happens when it's broken and you press the button and no goodies come out, the first thing you do is press the button again. And then press the button again, and press the button a whole heap of times. That's called an extinction burst. It's because humans and all animals are fairly dumb like that, in that if something's worked in the past, we're going to batter it. We're going to do that again more until we figure out it's not working. So people were doing that. They were relisting like crazy, and it was costing a small fortune without reaping any rewards at all. For several years after this, I had pretty much given up. I was getting a handful of sales a year, but I really wasn't doing anything. But in that same time period, pioneers were out there cracking the Etsy code for us. People who researched and experimented and step by step slowly started to understand what was working with Etsy. They began to understand these rules that would help us get found in search. And as this was trial and error, there was going to be some superstitions and misinformation there. But slowly the rules began to become clearer. Having phrases in the titles and tags, matching your keywords exactly to what the buyer was typing in, with the exact order being the most important thing. And for a long while it was believed that the description had an impact on SEO. I don't know if it did, it certainly does in Google, so it wasn't a bad practice anyway. And also, total hearts and views really made a big difference too. And people learnt to game that loophole by using teams to artificially boost their number of views or their number of hearts. So Etsy had to tweak the algorithm to focus on the experience of the person searching, to show them the item that they wanted to buy the most, not the item that the seller had managed to game the best. And also they had to make tweaks when things didn't work like expected. For example, clumping, when if somebody was really good at their SEO, they could have 7 or 8 items that were ranking on the front page for any given search term. And again, that's not the best buyer experience. So although they'd done a great job, it was best not to show just an entire clump for everybody searching. Then in 2018, the unprecedented happened. Etsy published the Ultimate Guide to Search. This was an in-depth series of articles explaining how the Etsy search algorithm worked, what the algorithm is looking for. This is amazing. Most platforms do not tell you anything like this. Most platforms are still at the 2010 place where everyone's experimenting and testing, but flailing around in the dark, and there is some misinformation out there for sure. And the Ultimate Guide is also constantly updated. As the search engine is changed and refined, so the article is tweaked. As of summer 2020, there are 8 chapters in this article. How Etsy Search works, a really in-depth article explaining all the factors that go into where a listing ranks. Keywords 101, everything you need to know, strategies and techniques for keywords. So that's great, right? We now have a set of rules that we can follow, and that will give our listings the best chance. Match all my titles and tags to my keywords. Have all 13 tags. Use all 10 of my photos. Have my shop policies filled in. Get good customer feedback. Great, I've got it. It should be easy now. But why is that listing ranking? It has so few photographs. That one's a top seller and it doesn't have all 13 tags. And look, that one only has 1-word tags. What is going on here? Did Etsy just lie to us? Actually, no. We all just read the article wrong. Etsy does not say you need all 13 tags filled in or all 10 photographs to rank in search. But what? Everyone's been saying that these are the most important factor. I've even read it. Look, right here in Keywords 101, in tagging do's, the very first thing it's telling you to do is to use all 13 tags. Pam, you are speaking rubbish. Look, Etsy is saying it right there. But when we look in Chapter 1 at what Etsy is actually telling us, Chapter 1 tells us the important factors that go into ranking. It doesn't mention multi-word tags or number of photographs. Let's look at the factors that actually go into ranking an item according to Etsy. Relevance. If your titles, tags and categories and attributes exactly match the keyword phrase the buyers are looking for. If they search for opal engagement ring and your listing titles and tags says opal engagement ring, then that will get a slight boost in rankings compared to if your listing said opal ring engagement. If it's the right words in the right order, it's a little more relevant. Listing quality score. When a listing is shown in search for a keyword, how well the buyer interacts with your listing compared to the other listings that can be shown in search for it there determines how relevant your listing is. The more they click and buy when they see it in search compared to other similar listings that are shown in search, the better you'll rank. Recency, how old or rather new the listing is, still has some impact. Not like it was before, but certainly a listing that's just created is a bit more interesting to Etsy than one that's just about to expire because it's been 4 months with no one paying any attention to it. Customer and market experience score. Good feedback, no open cases, having all your policies filled in your shop. These all count a little towards the ranking of each of your items as well. Postage price, sadly this free shipping to the USA does make a difference. They interestingly in the past few months have removed the bit saying free shipping will impact other countries rather than the US. So yeah, we're going to have to experiment with that and see what's happening there. And translations. If English isn't your first language, you put your tags in your first language. If you translate them yourself, that translation tends to be a little bit better than the Etsy algorithm trying to translate. And finally, shopper habits. What the shoppers have done when they've seen similar items to yours or similar items in your shop. That can make a difference to where your item's going to rank. So if that's all that Etsy's looking at, and it's not necessarily all, there are other factors they can take into account, but if this is all that Etsy's telling us they're taking into account, what is with all the other advice? And listen up, this is the brand new bit of information that you're not going to have heard before, so get your Etsy ears on. The ultimate guide is not just giving us information and advice on how to rank in the search, because there are 3 factors that help your items. There's ranking that we've just mentioned, all those factors that help your listing rank higher in the search. But then there's matching. This is different from ranking. This is just getting into the search at all. This is the algorithm recognizing what your item is. So by having the words that the customer's going to type somewhere in the tags, titles and attributes, Etsy can pull them out and mix and match them and say, yes, that's what your item is. It'll go into the search somewhere. So advice to help you with matching is just advice to help you being seen in as many searches as possible, not necessarily how high you'll be seen in each of the individual searches. For example, if you've got that opal engagement ring in your title and tags like we discussed previously, you would be very optimized to rank for opal engagement ring. And to decide if the algorithm wants to show you for opal engagement ring, all it looks and says, does it have those words there? It does. Yes, it goes into that search. The other words that you have in your title or the other words that you have in your other tags, it doesn't care about for the opal engagement ring search. It's not marking them off and saying 13 tags, fantastic, let's boost it up a bit. It's just saying, yep, you have those words, that's enough. So you could have all the other words or none of the other words, none of the other tags filled in, and it wouldn't make any difference to where that item ranks for that one term. But this limits all the other searches you could be seen in. If this was all the metadata you gave Etsy, if your title and tags were only these 3 words, then sure you could rank for opal ring, engagement ring, because those words are still in there. If this was the only metadata that you were given Etsy, these were the only words that were in your title and tags, then yes, Etsy would understand you were also an engagement ring and show you somewhere for that. It would also understand that you were an opal ring, but it wouldn't understand that you were also a bronze ring, or you could be a gift for mum, or any other type of term. So using all 13 tags does not help you rank higher for the one keyword, but it gives you the chance of matching and then hopefully ranking for more keywords, so you have more chances of being seen. And the final factor is converting. Converting is the thing that helps searchers be more likely to buy. The algorithm can't tell if a description's interesting or a photograph's captivating. So converting advice is there to help you understand the mind of the buyer. Often photographs can help someone fall in love with your item and be more likely to buy it. So if this happens, then yes, you'll get more sales and that will feed back into your quality score and you will rank higher. But the photograph themselves, The algorithm is not judging your photograph if it's any good. It's just judging how the buyer reacts towards it. But if a listing only needs a couple of images for the buyer to get it, to understand it, to fall in love with it and to buy it, then Etsy won't hold that listing back. It won't say you don't have 10 images. If you have 2 images that the customer completely falls in love with, and that is enough, you will not get any boost in ranking to fill in the other 8 photographs with irrelevant things or repeats or anything like that. In fact, that might even put a customer off because it looks a bit like you're trying to game the system. So when Etsy gives you that advice, it's just generic advice. It's saying on average from all the shops that they look at, the ones that have 10 images tend to do a little bit better. And that's because quite a lot of images people really want to see about, want to understand some, want to fall in love with it, want to see what the chip on the bottom looks like. So they see on average all those images help an item to convert better, but it doesn't say that your item is going to rank better if you add the images, or if you don't need all those other images, if customers don't care about them, then the algorithm doesn't care about them. So the matching and converting advice is not bad advice at all, but it is just that. It is just advice. It's just advice to give your listings the best chance to be seen for the widest variety of terms and for the buyer to fall in love and hopefully buy your item. Putting in pointless tags won't help you rank higher. If the tag is irrelevant to your listing, and Etsy tried to show that listing to some customers and they saw your listing there and they saw that wasn't what they were looking to purchase, that wasn't what they hoped for when they searched that term, then Etsy will see that people aren't clicking on your item and they will show it less and less, and it will go down and down in the searches. So even if all your SEO was perfect for whatever search term you were aiming for, if the search term was not suitable for the customer, you're not going to rank for it. Those extra tags that you've bunged in are just pointless, and it was a waste of time. Waste of your time searching for them and deciding to optimize for them. And the same, putting in the same bad picture 10 times will not give you any kind of boost in the rankings. It will not increase the chance of a buyer buying from you. So when you're looking at the advice on Etsy and from other people trying to help you out, think of the 3 factors: ranking, matching, and converting, and think, is this advice related to which of these factors? And also think, is this relevant to your item? Will this help your customers? Because no one can give generic advice that works for everybody. We've got to use trial and error, and we've got to use our common sense for our listings as well. If you're looking for some more SEO advice, and if you've made it to the end of this video, you are already a super researcher and clearly have an interest in this subject. So you might want to check out my Etsy Bites series, where I'm taking small chunks of training, small ideas, and breaking them down, going in deep with short, punchy, to the point videos. So click on the card in the screen to dive into those. Thank you for watching. See you next time.